see where this goes.
This water's so warm. I might have to pour it out.
Go get some
more.
I hate lukewarm water.
It's alright. It's good for hydration.
Alrighty, we'll just start from the top. How do you manage young heifers in the mob? Do you worry about them getting bred at a young age?
This is a good question. So, you wanna take a stab at?
Actually, it's kind of relevant because of that heifer that we had. So all the heifers that are going to be, kept as replacement heifers just remain in the mob. They're not weaned. We don't wean any heifers, from their mothers, which a lot of people do. We do wean the bulls. We'll wean the bull calves when they have to be over 7 months on March 1st and we'll pull everything over 7 months old. That's just to keep our calving window from April 1st to November. So we pull them March 1st, and that just we'll wean the bull calves, but the heifers just stay in with the mob, and there's definitely some heifers that'll be bred. I can think of a few off the top of my head. Yep. Like there's a heifer that calved last year that she had kind of a smaller calf, and he kind of got scours for a little while.
And he got better.
And then she actually bred back. She was a bitty little heifer, 87. So she was like a late born 2018 calf who calved in like midsummer of 2020.
So she was essentially like a 2019 like calving in 2020.
She was basically like a year
in a bit.
like 18 months maybe. 15, 18 months, somewhere around there when she calved. And it definitely was hard on her, but then she actually bred back and she calved
earlier
the other day. She moved up from when she calved last year. And so she's doing fine. She is a smaller heifer, but she's built well. Then there was a heifer today, this morning.
Or probably either today or
there's a heifer this morning that we saw that calved. We can't find her calf, and we can't tell if she's taking care of it. So we're kind of
just like waiting to see what's gonna happen.
But she was bred last. I remember seeing her get bred last summer. So she's a 975. So that's a late born 2019 calf. She was bred like late summer 2020.
She's not. I mean, she's small. She's not more than.
So she's just coming on. Like she might not even be 2 yet.
Yeah.
She can't be 2.
She can't be 2, but she's the same deal. She's probably like 15, 18 months somewhere in there.
And she's a bitty little thing.
She's probably like 700 pounds, 600 pounds,
650, 700 pounds, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
She's a small little heifer.
And when you get obviously you can have calving problems when they're that little. That's a concern. But even if they do have the calf totally fine, most of the time the calf is going to be really scrawny and won't really fill out if it's a bull, or won't really fill out if it's a heifer. And so they end up either being steers. The calves that usually end up either being steers or cull heifers, basically. So the reason the question is asked in the first place is because you don't really want that to happen. So why wouldn't you wean, right? Is sort of the question. What's the benefit of being able to leave them in there? Mm-hmm. And why would you even consider doing that? You know what I mean?
So the I would say the biggest thing is you don't have an extra herd moving around your farm. That's just huge on your recovery period. If it was just for that, it'd be worth it. But there's also benefits to leaving them in that. And we've seen this. The females, they have that family dynamic in the herd, and we'll see a mother with her daughter, with the daughter's daughter, with the daughter's daughter.
It's all great granddaughter.
Four generations of heifers all standing next to each other because they still know, they still have that connection with each other. And so when you wean, you break a lot of that, and that just produces a lot of stress. And it just, I think they remain a lot more healthy when you can keep that family dynamic together, or that, I guess it'd be family.
There's also the fact that in a grass-based system, they're not going to mature as quickly. Mm-hmm. So we're mentioning some heifers off the top of our head that we can think of that calved when they were too young, but it is by far the minority that are extremely young. Mm-hmm. There'll be heifers that we don't wean them, and they'll still be bred at 2, calved at 3. Which I think Greg would prefer them to be older and more physically mature.
Yeah, but then I was thinking of like that 818, like
Yeah.
you know, she calved last year as a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And she's calving again this year. She's bred back just fine. Like, that's just ideal.
Exactly.
You know?
But like there's a whole spectrum.
Right,
Like you have like, you know,
64.
bred at like 18 months and then calving before they're 3, you know what I mean? You have bred at a year and calving at 2. There's sort of a whole spectrum, you know. But I would say the minority are ones that are super young that end up getting bred.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it like it's not really a huge problem. It's not something that
I thought it was gonna be more of a problem than it actually was. Like when I first thought, you know, when we first had this discussion on these Chewing the Cuds, I was like, I don't know, it'd almost be worth, you know, leaving them out or taking them out, you know, wait until 2. But it's like, from what I've seen, the benefit of having the one herd, and a lot of them have been performing their second year. You know, it's not like they're missing you know, a year of calving. So
the other thing to consider too is that mother through the winter is having to nurse a calf, and so it helps them not just balloon up. Like and when there's a problem with like mothers when they get weaned and you have excellent management where it's like it's almost like too much of a good thing, where the cow will put on a ton of weight and then doesn't breed back very well, has some calving issues or whatever because she's just got so much excess fat. And a way to avoid that is to stress them a little bit, and the way you can stress them a little bit even with good management is by not weaning. Because lactation is just incredibly demanding on the mother. Even if it's a little bit of milk, it still requires a lot of energy for them to produce that. And
in the wintertime,
and especially in the wintertime when, you know, the feed value is a lot lower.
Another benefit to the not weaning, especially during the winter, is that heifer that's a yearling, she's not quite mature enough to where you could take her through the winter on purely stockpiling hay and not lose a lot of like
growth potential,
growth and condition on her. So by not weaning and letting that heifer suck on her mom all winter long, that's like giving her, like a lot of people will grain their heifers during the wintertime or their yearlings just to keep, because you like they need that extra protein and that extra energy to get through the winter. And so not weaning allows them to get that from their mother's milk, and so you don't have to provide those costly inputs to your yearlings.
There would be like less than half a dozen heifers that will end up putting weaning rings into, and that's when the mother doesn't wean, is either too slow at weaning the calf or weaning the heifer calf from last year, or isn't really interested in weaning the heifer calf from last year, and so then you have a problem where you have a 500-pound heifer suckling on a freshly, you know, freshly produced udder like for the calf that just dropped on the ground, and the little weak calf is like trying to get some milk and it's getting butted out of the way by this 500-pound, 600-pound heifer. So when that happens, we'll just get them up, put one of those weaning rings, which is, it's just a plastic, people aren't familiar, it's just a plastic nose ring that has little spikes on the end of it.
And it doesn't stick to their nose, it's like it's got a little gap, and so you just slide it up on there and it just holds itself.
You just tighten it so that it can't like slide out, essentially.
Because their nose has a little like almost, it's like a T.
It's like your nose,
like a T shape. Yeah, it's like a T shape. So it like you slip it over the T and it just holds itself there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And so when that ringed heifer comes up to take a drink from her mother, those little spikes just poke the teat, and the mother just is like, what the heck is that? And like kicks the crap out of whatever just did that. And so they like learn really quickly, like, I don't want to go in because mom's just kicking the crap out of me. And it works. We definitely have seen, I don't think I've seen a heifer with a weaning ring actively stealing milk.
I don't think they can.
Yeah.
It would hurt too much. Those things are pokey.
Yeah.
It's like sticking a briar up on her.
And we'll leave. You gotta be careful when you put them in there, because if they're flailing around like this and you like hold on to the weaning ring and they flail, like it can jab right into your hand. But we leave them in for, I don't know, sometimes
6 months.
6 months, like, or longer, and we don't.
I wouldn't need it that long. But
no, but
it's just convenience.
Yeah, and I've heard people's comment, you know, like you got to get those things out because otherwise it causes infection or like irritation of their nose or whatever. But I mean, we've had them in on some cows for the better part of a year, and it seems to be fine. Like I don't notice any serious issues with, you know, their nose or them not being able to eat or whatever. But it's just something you got to watch for. But that's
And like you said, it's only like less than like half a dozen or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, right now I think we've got two, three maybe in the whole herd.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes there'll be an older cow that does it too, and same deal. You just, get her up and put a ring in her nose, and that solves the problem. So, that was a good question though.
I saw a video of a cow stealing her own milk.
What?
She reached her head back around and was sucking on her own udder. I don't know if that's good or like
that's
I
not good.
don't know. I mean, I don't know like how it, because like she uses the energy to produce the milk to then drink the energy to. It's like what?
You don't want.
You gotta lose some energy.
Yeah, you gotta get rid of her. You gotta get rid of her. That is an inferior trait if I've ever seen one.
I don't know.
What the heck?
Isn't that so?
It's so strange.
Weird.
Learn that.
If you've ever experienced that, leave it in the comments below. I want to hear what's going on. Oh, that's bizarre.
Oh man.
Isn't that so weird?
That is the weirdest thing I've heard in a while. Oh,
It's so
there's something
weird.
about that that's so uncomfortable.
I know.
For real.
Jeez.